r/ask Reddit. What are you sick of trying to explain to people? I am gardener in Germany. People ask for plants that bloom all over the year, need no water, need no light and don't lose their leaves. That plant doesn't exist. If it is not living they do. All hail synthetic plants. Are you my neighbor? If you are, come get all your fake flower plastic trash out of my yard before I mow. A disagreement is not a personal attack. Just because a statistical model gave something a 70% chance of happening and missed, it doesn't mean the entire model is horribly inaccurate. Tell that to a Fire Emblem fan. 80% chance to hit. Oh, I'm definitely gonna hit. 20% chance to crit. Oh, I'm definitely gonna crit. The 80% to hit is actually closer to 95% in some fair games, as there was a system in place that would greatly increase your odds of hitting at 75% plus and greatly decrease at 25%. Devs basically figured out that feeding into players' perception of that will hit miss for sure, just made for happier players. Just because I'm an accountant doesn't mean I know everything about taxes. No, I can't find you some hidden money and magically get you a higher refund. Also an accountant, having to explain to people that they won't lose money if they get that pay raise because they think they will end up paying more in taxes than the raise. Ugh. I'm not an accountant but actually bother to understand tax law. I have blown up way too many minds by explaining this to people. Adult people. People who have been working for 30 years when I had only had a paying job for a single year at the time. They never noticed that their take-home pay didn't go down when they got a raise, but they still believed this weird idea. I've had the argument with people where they don't want to pay more tax. They realize that the pay rise will allow them to take more money home but don't want it because they'll pay more tax. Like, they care more about the extra £150 they give to HMRC than they do the £800 that they'll take home to spend. Ducking crazy. Facebook is not and never was a news site. Looking at you, mom. LOL. Reminds me of this I read once. Paraphrasing. 1995. Parents, don't believe anything you read on the internet, Timmy. 2017. Parents, did you know Ask Me Anything killed Santa? God damn it, mom. Antibiotics don't work on viruses. Yes, and if you have a virus and it's only been a few days and you aren't dying, you don't need to go to the doc. There's not much they can do for you. Keep your germs at home and rest. I recently had the flu and had to explain the above two facts to almost everyone I had a conversation with. No, eating organic will not cure my autoimmune disease. No, it's not because I take too many pills either. The pills are for it. No, it's not some conspiracy by my doctor to make me buy more medication. No, I don't want your ducking essential oils. Tattoos usually follow the general rule of, you get what you pay for. Tried to explain to so many people I know not to get a tattoo based on price, but unfortunately they believe that cheapest equals best. I can't wait for the day when $15 do-it-yourself tattoo kits become popular and we have a generation of adults with Etch-a-Sketch kindergarten doodles on their bodies. But if they're going for heart over art, then who am I to judge? A dude in one of my classes came in with his hand all bandaged and proudly announced that he had gotten a hand tattooed on his hand. I asked where he had gotten it done since the palm is a notoriously hard place to tattoo and it'll fade anyway since the skin is so thin. My friend did it. Oh. I work with a guy who recently got a tattoo from a guy. Asked him what he paid for it and he told me he traded a tattoo gun he had. He doesn't tattoo. To his buddy who gave him the tattoo. I asked him if his buddy has a shop in town. He said no. He just started. Turns out that was the first tattoo he ever did. It was some sort of tribal half sleeve that looked like somebody with Parkinson's did it. This same guy has a Monster Energy logo tattooed on the other arm and has had a pair of his wife's underwear hanging from his rear view mirror to declare that he had sex with her in his car. He's 32. Back up your data, idiots. Doing a fresh Windows install for my dad. Now, this is going to wipe some of your files. Do you have everything saved that you need? Sure I do. What happened to my photos? That my rheumatoid arthritis can't be cured with ibuprofen. I take cancer meds FFS. Astronomer here. I don't do horoscopes. Please stop asking. I am a Cancer and my girlfriend is a Gemini. What day in the month, astronomically speaking, is she most likely to get pregnant? I'm no expert, but given the alignment of the Scorpio and Leo constellations, she's most likely to get pregnant on a day that you duck. He is a Cancer. She is most likely to get pregnant on a day where she ducks and he doesn't. Just because you've been in the industry longer than me doesn't mean I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Also, just because you've done something for 20 years doesn't mean you've been doing it right for that long. But that's the way we have always done it. Also, they don't know if the person they are talking to is super skilled, etc. I made that mistake. Walked into a room as a young fresh-faced nursing assistant and started dumb talking what blood sugars are like. My male patient was a 10-year-old. He let me know after that he's a world-renowned neurosurgeon from the Mayo Clinic, and I nervously laughed myself into the grave. Pro tip: hospital gowns make everyone look a little homeless, but most aren't. Vaccines don't kill people. They don't contain mercury because thimerosal was taken out in the early 2000s. You'll ingest more mercury in your life by eating albacore tuna than you will get from vaccines. There is no causal link to autism. The doctor who made these claims lost his medical license and had his journal retracted. Vaccines protect against epidemics. Mom blogs aren't fact. Vaccines aren't just for you. They're there to protect the people who have weakened immune systems and babies too young to receive them. Vaccinate your kids, please and thank you. Also, tuna contains mercury that is actually worse than the mercury type thimerosal broke down into. Methyl versus ethyl makes a difference, but it doesn't matter because vaccines no longer contain any mercury. Drives me nuts. We do not use only 10% of our brains. Well, except maybe for the people who believe this. Just because you say something and you believe it doesn't mean it is true. You saying louder doesn't make it true either. How lockpicking works. Source: I'm a locksmith. I am not a locksmith, but I love locks and picking. I was able to pick all of my house locks. This prompted me to buy new house locks. That great and terrible moment all novice pickers experience. Holy shit, I picked it. Dot. Double quote. Ha, I should not have been able to pick that. Duck. Is Home Depot open? Work in a veterinary clinic in Houston, TX. My dog doesn't need heartworm prevention. We live where it's hot most of the year in a city known for its bayous. Now, some clients won't know that heartworm disease is spread by mosquitoes, but as soon as I explain it to them they still come out with, "But he's an inside dog." Still doesn't matter. He can still get it. It just takes one mosquito bite. No, I'm not just trying to take your money. I've actually seen dogs die from this, so just pay for the prevention and the test every year so you won't have to pay thousands of dollars in treatment. I've heard "but he's an inside dog" many times from owners who don't do flea tick preventative treatments and want to refuse vaccines. At some point during the day your dog goes outside to go to the bathroom. Therefore he will be exposed to parasites and the elements. Not to mention that bugs can get inside the house easily. No dog is too much of a special snowflake to not need flea medicine, vaccines, and routine fecal checks. Why I'm still single, I don't know. Mom, geez. But you're such a handsome beautiful guy woman. Difference between loose and lose. You're right, that makes me mad too. You're just not on my intellectual level. That thing they shared on Facebook is not true, and could have been fact checked in seconds. There is a difference between a debate and an argument. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I hate your guts. That GMOs are not particularly bad. People will bitch about everything getting destroyed by genetically manipulated organisms. I'd prefer the term modified over manipulated, saying it will change the genetic diversity in nature and it being against nature in general. However, these GMOs are the ones that bring you food on your plate, beer in the bottle and washing detergent in your laundry machine. They are proven to be superior over conventional organisms for their specific purpose, and have higher yields than non-modified organisms. Unfortunately, I am just a biotechnology student learning day in, day out about the subject, and I'm ignorant to the facts that showed up on their Facebook feed. I do however share the opinion on some major companies in the field exploiting their monopoly position. My grandfather worked in the agrochemical field, and GMOs are one of the only things I've witnessed him get in fights over. When that GMO craze was going on a few years ago, it was like once a week I thought, OMG, he's gonna have a heart attack defending GMOs. His whole life was dedicated to finding and providing better ways to get more yield for farmers, and he wasn't taking the non-GMO push lightly. I'll never forget the look on my cousin's face when she tried to educate him on the dangers of GMO. Gramps went up and down the side of her and tore a strip off, literally laughed in her face about how stupid she was being. On his 90th birthday, in public, at a fine dining restaurant. I'm picturing your grandpa going Gordon Ramsay and picking up food and shaking it in your cousin's face. You see this? You see this? GMO. And this? GMO. That Schrödinger's cat is not supposed to sincerely imply that reality is based on our observation of it. The whole thing is meant to be a thought experiment depicting a paradox that ridicules that idea. In creating the Schrödinger's cat paradox, Schrödinger was illustrating an issue he had with the idea in quantum mechanics called the Copenhagen interpretation. The Copenhagen interpretation states that physical systems do not have definitive properties prior to being observed. Schrödinger thought up his cat experiment to show that the idea wasn't logical and didn't work when applied to everyday objects. I often see Schrödinger's cat used to prove that reality is egocentric since everything is in a sort of fluid, indefinable state until we observe and measure it. Except Schrödinger's cat was meant to illustrate precisely how ludicrous that idea is. Because a cat can't be both alive and dead in a box, as reality exists beyond our field of vision, at least beyond subatomic levels. Did you ever try to close a cat up in a box? There would be no question as to whether the cat is alive. You'll know. In the line Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Juliet is asking why he is Romeo Montague, not where he is. Yes, why? Of all the people on earth, do you have to be the one person I can't be with? Let's play Where's Waldo. No one ever asks how's Waldo. There's no quick fix when raising children. I'm having trouble with little Timmy doing X. Did you try having consequences for him doing X? Cue next conversation. Having consequences didn't work. Timmy did X again after I gave him a timeout for doing it the first time. Did he get the same consequences the second time? No, because they didn't work. He did X again. Did you give him any consequences the second time? No, consequences didn't work. He did X again. Well, you have to give consequences every single time your child does X for your child to learn that X is an unacceptable behavior. I don't have time for that. I've got all the chores and shopping to do. Is there anything else I can do to keep Timmy from doing X? If I can manage to run a classroom while giving consequences for unacceptable behavior while alone with 25 kids, I'm sure you can manage with one while doing the dishes. My profession. Me. I'm a medical laboratory scientist. Them. What's that? Me. I perform testing on blood, urine and other body fluids to help doctors diagnose and treat patients. Them. Oh. So a nurse? Me. No. I work in the laboratory is actually performing the testing that doctors order. Like when you get blood work taken for tests, I do the testing. Them. Oh. A phlebotomist. Me. No, I don't actually draw the blood. The blood comes to the laboratories and scientists, like me, perform the testing. Them. Oh, that sounds cool. Does that take, like, a special certificate? Me. It's a Bachelor's of Science in Clinical Laboratories Science and the passing of a national board exam through the American Society of Clinical Pathology. Them. So how much do you make an hour? Me. Tells them. Whoa. Nurses make way more. I'd rather do that. Me. Fassapum. You should counter with, well, rocket scientists make more than you. Get to it, Aunt Beth. Haha. It took a long time for my family members to fully understand what it is I do. I had this conversation with them many times. Actually, it's usually people from the other departments of the hospital I work at. You would be amazed how many nurses, nurse aides, doctors, respiratory therapists, and other non-clinical hospital employees, HR personnel, cafeteria employees, etc. have zero idea where the lab of the hospital is, much less have ever actually gone into the lab to see there's actually people in there. Why I don't have my PhD yet and what academic jobs entail. Explaining it does not get easier. I have some variant of this exchange about once a month. Grandma, why can't you just get a job in hometown? Me. Because local university sucks for my discipline, and they weren't hiring when I needed a job, and promotion and tenure standards vary, so it's hard to change positions without substantial cost, and I do applied criminal justice research, which requires years of relationship building with agencies. Grandma, so you hate your mother and me? A migraine isn't just a headache, and it's more than just painful. They mess with my vision and perception. That Facebook is ducking corrupt. I want to delete my account but need it to communicate with a few people who I am not comfortable with having my phone number. There's tired. Then there's the I feel like I haven't slept in a week hypothyroid tired. Have a kid, sweetie. Then you'll realize what being tired really is. XOXO. Duck this type of person. That your dog needs to be vaccinated to come to daycare. Seriously. Rabies, distemper, Bordetella vaccines, and fecal floats, parasite check, all need to be done for the safety of your dog, and for the safety of the other dogs. Lots of pups go to dog parks, where there is no regulation, and you can never be too careful. That I can't tan. Yes, I know that I am pale, but I literally break out in hives when I spend time in the sun. No, tanning beds aren't any better. No, I have no interest in spraying myself down in chemicals to make you feel better about my skin. Everyone seems to have an issue with how pale I am, except for me, but I get it. I have had 36 years to accept my paleness. I will give you a bit to catch up. Have you tried melatonin? My sister's friend's cousin's neighbor says it's just amazing. I am a pharmacy tech. Most people have a deductible at the beginning of the year. When I try to explain this, they just think the pharmacy is ripping them off. I understand it's frustrating and we do all we can to help, but people just won't get mad at someone, and people in the pharmacy are the easiest targets. Goldfish do not belong in bowls. No fish belongs in a bowl, and especially not ducking goldfish. The most common goldfish you see, those skinny little comet goldfish, shouldn't even be in a fish tank, unless you happen to have some massive Bond villain level setup. They're actually bred as feeders, mostly, not as pets. Every time I bring this up, someone has an anecdote about, oh, their sister's ex-boyfriend's orthodontist once had a goldfish named Bubba and he lived in a bowl for 7 whole years. No, they are animals with a lifespan of 20 plus years. Just don't do it. It'd be more humane to kill the thing now. I get this shit when I tell people their better fish shouldn't be in a half-gallon bowl on their desk, and that they need a heater because they're tropical fish. Oh, they live in puddles in the wild. Duck, no they don't. They live in rice paddies. They're not deep, but they go on for miles. Plenty of space. Your better can live much longer than a year if you take proper care of it. That homeopathy makes no sense whatsoever. I once saw a person give a full report in my academic writing class about how the government was unfairly persecuting holistic medicine. How they were getting rid of an exception to the rule that medicines had to be tested for their effectiveness. Question time. Me. So if holistic medicine does work, why can't it just pass those tests and get certified? Hippie. Well, not everything about our bodies is part of science. Me. I mean, it's called biology, and that's when the teacher cut me off. The importance and actual expertise of my ducking job. I'm a graphic designer and sick of hearing my nephew who's into artsy stuff thinks this needs to be more blue, with bigger fonts and bigger logo. Mom, I studied the hell out of my brains to be here and do this. I explained time and time again why it's better to use this font, with this color, with this alignment, with this layout and this margins. Your nephew doesn't know shit and now your Facebook campaign looks like it was made by a 12-year-old. Would you tell your plumber, electrician, carpenter, mechanic, surgeon, etc. how to do their jobs? Rant. Married for 3 years. We're both 27. So when are you having kids? So why don't you have kids? Mother duckers, we just don't want any at the moment. Shit, maybe never if you keep bugging us about it. I have celiac disease and it gets really annoying that every time I pull out food or order something safe at a restaurant I get is that gluten free. No, it's not gluten free. I just want unbearable gut and joint pains for a few days. Also explaining to people what gluten is multiple times and they still have no idea. Actual sentence spoken by patient. I can't eat gluten because I'm a vegan. I asked her if she meant gelatin. She was adamant that gluten was an animal product. That depression doesn't just go away if you decide to be happy. That a layperson's opinion isn't equivalent to an expert's knowledge. We all have opinions, but some opinions matter and, by comparison, some do not. Why I don't drink alcohol anymore. I live in Germany. You're kinda split of the society if you don't get wasted all weekend feels good. That I can be self-critical without needing affirmation or fishing for compliments. I get this most with cooking. If something didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it and I say as much, others will immediately jump in and say how good it was or something like that. Sure, it's absolutely fine. It just didn't get to where I wanted it. I'm not planning on going to slit my wrists because of it. I'll just make a note of it next time and do something differently. Differences between capitalism and globalization. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.